Hello, my name is Nicolas Evzonas. I am a psychodynamically oriented therapist and researcher at the Center for Research in Psychoanalysis, Medicine and Society at the University of the Sorbonne in Paris. I'm going to present to you my latest contribution to the International Journal of Psychoanalysis, in which I revisit a seminal metapsychological paper by pioneering Hungarian analyst Sándor Ferenczi entitled Confusion of Tongues Between Adults and the Child, the Language of Tenderness and Passion. The methodology that I use in this article is inspired by poststructuralistic models applied to literary studies. I thus propose a close horizontal reading of Ferenczi's text based on its linguistic structure, and then a vertical approach grounded in theoretical and historical contextualization. My analysis brings to light Ferenczi's multiple confusions of tongues, instead of the sole metaphorical confusion traditionally acknowledged at this paper, namely the confusion between a language rooted in the passion of genital sexuality and a language ingrained in the tenderness of progenital eroticism, which occurs in the case of child molestation. First, I argue that a double confusion of tongues forms a haunting subtext in Ferenczi's contribution between the adults and the child on the one hand, and between the analyst and the analysand on the other. More specifically, I show that the problems associated with the analyst stance and countertransference are voluntarily Bibleized and endlessly superposed with those of infantile seduction. A process like the abuse of power and psychological rape can thus be traced in the analytic relationship because of certain therapists' pervert strangleholds and their compulsion to interpret. Not to mention the neurotic submission of some patients. Furthermore, a cross-reading of Ferenczi's confusion of tongues and his multilingual clinical diary reveals his Babel of the unconscious and personal struggle to escape from Freud's intransigent authority. I thus stress the autobiographical component of psychoanalytic concepts and multi-dimensional divergences in the communication between the Hungarian acolytes and the Austrian Grand Vizier. Along these lines, I plead in favor of a metapsychological confusion of tongues, which manifests not as a mere disagreement about traumatic seduction, but also as a fundamental discord regarding analytic training and ultimately the transmission of psychoanalysis itself. Finally, I consider the confusion of tongues paradigm on several authors stemming from diverse linguistic traditions, such as Anna Freud, Michael Balint, Arnold Rachman, Jean Laplanche, Pierre Bourdieu. The theory of general seduction based on the enigmatic signifiers transmitted to the child by the adult's unconscious, the early maturation of the progeny of mentally ill parents, The emergence of Stockholm Syndrome in abducted children, and the co-created interaction between the analytic practitioner and the patient are just some of the issues discussed from a pluralistic perspective. My overall goal in this paper goes far beyond a willingness to contribute to the history of psychoanalysis by untying the tongue of this long silenced Hungarian dissident. I cannot stress enough the theoretical and clinical richness of Ferenczi's enlightening ideas and their congruence with contemporary considerations of the analytic relationship, as well as advances in psychopathology. This is my article in brief. I hope that you enjoy reading it and find it interesting. Thank you very much for your attention.